It's very festive in here today.
Yeah, well, it's Christmas.
Yeah.
I think last time you saw us was 4th of July, right?
I looked up, it was in October when we did the Pluribus episode. So apparently fourth quarter has been just very, very fast.
Yeah.
But we have our Funko Pop Griswold family. We've got a tree. We've got some nog, homemade. We're going to talk about that.
Heck yeah. Shake that stuff up. I see some
shaky,
vanilla on the bottom.
Some vanilla and some fresh fresh clove.
That's what my ex used to say. I see some vanilla on the bottom. It's so vanilla down there.
Oh, the entendres don't stop.
It's so vanilla, there's not even any vanilla bean in there.
We're going to call this episode 33. So 33 mostly of 2025. Santa shots and slightly slurred carols from Neon Capital of Christmas Chaos.
That is a mouthful. Can I say it? Santa shots, slightly slurred carols from the Neon Capital of Xmas Chaos.
There we go.
I sounded like a little more radio voicey.
Yeah, there we go. Well, I mean, we've
not quite Dallas level of like stripper.
We've had
DJ, but
now taking the stage for the second time, coming from the hills of Seattle, Darren Benjamin.
That's a lot of nog.
But it's so good. So
there is a show that I'm partial to that people may know. It's called Star Trek.
Yes.
And one of the characters is named Nog.
There we go.
So every time I drink a glass of nog, I think of Nog.
Here's a nod to Nog. So,
that's a deep cut right there.
So you know the story because you've been hearing me say the same shit for like 5 or 6 years now.
Mm-hmm.
All you really need is one really good glass of eggnog in the season. To me,
yeah, it's like things. It's like pumpkin pie. You just one piece, and you're good.
And so, what stands out about this year's version of Kris Kringle and the Mingle Holiday Nog is I actually thought about this in early November.
Did you put Jaeger in it?
I did not.
A drop? Just this for essence?
Maybe as it sweated from my pores. But I actually made it in early November, so just after Halloween. So it was in a big pot that was in the outdoor refrigerator where it married the flavors of the season with an addition to the adult variety of some spiced rum, some brandy, and some bourbon. So I think this is my best batch yet. So in addition to the holiday nog this year, I tried for the first time something that we've talked about in the past when we both were under the Ploy McMullins and made some Irish cream homemade, which was equally delicious. And then I just posted earlier on my personal page with the growing trend of people not drinking, I got some NA whiskey and made some NA holiday cream. So just a Bailey's variant with no alcohol.
I won't be drinking none of that. That's for sure.
However, I tasted the NA whiskey before it went into the batch, and I was like, interesting.
So how many years have you been doing this now?
5 or 6, 7.
And do you like name each batch? Do you have like this is Santa's Little Helper, or is this like Comet or Blitzen?
I'm going to put you on that next year.
Okay.
I just call it Kris Kringle on the Mingle Nog.
Kris Kringle on the Mingle Nog.
Because like when I start, you have been privy to previous batches and some other baked goods and whatever. So when I get out there and start driving around,
it's quite the production. Like you would think that Kris has like a whole gaggle of elves helping him, but it's just one giant elf all packed into one.
Yes.
And it's, I've seen the madness at work, and it's quite maddening.
And when you're separating all those eggs, that's when I really have to dial down.
Do you ever hire like migrant workers just to like do the heavy lifting?
No, because even though we've both bartended, I've never really chefed, but I can see how they get fanatical because like in the room and the environment, I'm just kind of very particular.
Yeah. Do you do it in a clean room, or is it just with all the dogs? Like
it's Dexter sterile. No, no, the dogs are gated off, so they're not even allowed in the area. But I did holiday nog. I did the Irish cream this year. I did I called a little play on words in a holiday cream. I called it Santa in parentheses AF, so it could be a little bit more not suitable for work, or it could be just alcohol free.
Can I ask you what other? This is delicious, but are there any other holiday drinks that you like crave every year in the season?
More recently, I've just a little more like commercial one is I call it Christmas Sangria.
Sangria,
yeah,
which I've also been the recipient of. It's lovely.
And I'm thinking, as one of my mentors has done at his his aunt's old pub in Huron, Michigan. I've been thinking about next year trying to attempt hot buttered rum.
I was just gonna offer that up as one of my, like it's another one that I usually try to have one every year, But sangria, going back to that, the mystery ingredient is ginger ale, right? Isn't that the difference between?
Yeah. So Canada Dry comes out with their seasonal flavors. They have a blackberry, a cranberry, and then the regular. So you kind of throw that into the mix so you get more of that holiday feel.
So you hit up Costco, you get a 24 pack, and then you just kind of go to town and you just whatever flavor you grab, you go with.
Yep, and then you do just one of their pre-made sangrias in the bottle of 1.5, and then you put a little floaty float of some grandma in there, a little Grand Marnier.
I'm telling you, a quick trip cup full of that on the rocks is good. A good buzz.
Yes,
it is definitely a good buzz. Let me tell you.
We got to remember how to chop this up. We haven't done this in this because we're too busy talking about.
Yeah, we'll let's move on.
But we're going to talk about other things. We're going to talk about Las Vegas tourism wrap up. We're going to talk about top Christmas movies. We're going to talk about, sadly, unfortunately, but still a great director, top Rob Reiner films. 30 years of Fremont Street experience. We're going to talk about Vegas sports, Vegas trends that need to go away, restaurants closings and openings in the last few weeks. Powerball Christmas Eve, $1.7 billion.
Woo!
Airport talk, and then finally looking forward to 2026 in this episode number 33, which we're calling
Santa Shot Slightly Slurred Carols from the Neon Capital of Xmas Chaos.
And we'll be right back.
Sleigh bells ringing, soft strings begin to play, gentle choir pass, welcome in the holiday.
And we're back.
And we're back. So nice little intro. Pouring a little nog. We got a whole almost bottle to knock out here.
Are we gonna do it all right now? Are we gonna? That's a lot of nog.
I got more.
We're about to go on a little field trip. We're gonna go to Silver Stamp, which you've never been to. There is 2 local bars in town that I think really just do Christmas the best. And
yeah.
I'm going to say what I think, and I'm sure it's going to be the same, but the Sand Dollar is number 2, and my personal favorite is the Silver Stamp.
Yeah.
And they've curated a bunch of, and it's just maybe, like nostalgia base for the old, like the Gen Xers, because of the theme of the place is like 70s. So
yeah, it's your grandpa's
60s, 70s.
Your grandpa's basement beer bar in the Midwest.
And a lot of the decorations are from that era. And there are newer ones like 80s and stuff like that. But
Rose, Andrew, and staff and team do a very good job curating, and I can only imagine the budget they have on eBay or, where they're looking for these one-offs.
Did you get this year's Christmas sweater?
Not yet. No, you know what? I had every intention, again, kind of talking in the intro about 12/1 being down there when it was said space was going to be decorated. Now we're here on 12/23, and I'm like, I'm an a-hole. So
yeah,
but you knew that.
Yep. Well, no, I mean, come on. Yeah. You're a pleasant fella.
So let's talk about the big monkey in the room as we wrap up 2025 is Las Vegas tourism.
Ooh.
So
down.
Have you read any numbers?
I know for sure that it's down. International is down over 30%, but I do know that they just implemented new rules where international travelers have to show up to 5 years of social media and all your emails, and that's just going to kill it right there.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
You'll still have business, so I imagine CES will be good, but
as I was doing research for this pod, as of the latest reporting numbers through October, so November's not being reported, and December obviously we're still in. As of October, it was down 3.2 million visitors.
Yeah, it's massive. And then, so not to mention, in the United States, I think they just reported they've done over 1.1 million layoffs this year. So we're reaching recession, 2008 levels of layoffs. And then also international tourism's way down. Plus, we've talked about it before, Kalshi and what is that called? It's called the
Wonder. What's the other one?
No, they're called the betting, the market.
Yeah.
What are they called? The free trade market apps or whatever.
Right, the futures trading apps.
Yeah.
Like that.
So and that those are taken off, and so everybody can bet on anything right from the comfort of your couch. So, it's gonna really. Plus, the the new rules taking effect for gambling, where if you lose, you still have to claim 90%.
Yes.
So you're going to have to pay 10% tax even on your losses, which
But
is
on
crazy.
that note, as of January 1st, that the W-2 reportable goes up to what, 2,000?
Yeah.
So from the 70s on, it's always been $11.99. So any jackpot over $1,199, you had to fill out a W-2, of which you and I are very familiar with. So this archaic legislation has been raised finally, and it's still probably not where it needs to be, but it's gone up to $2,000.
Wow.
As of January 1, 2026.
Could you imagine, like, when we worked for gaming, you know, not having to fill those out anymore? You hit a Royal and you're just like, well, Royal's 1,000, but, you know.
So
that's kind of good if you're you know, heavy gambler. You can keep, as long as you keep it under 2,000.
If you look at the tourism of this year, I mean, I always kind of make this analogy. We were running on a treadmill there post COVID, right? Like from late 2021 through really early this year. I mean, I think just people got, you know, literally inebriated on their expectations. You know, the decision makers, the power that be, the executives, and it was going to be just, it continued like all the live long day. Here's 44 million, here's 46 million, here's 48 million. I don't know if it's a correction or not, but it's, you know, at the same time, on the flip side of it, if this is the positive side of it, if you look at the negative side, I mean, it's still 30 plus million people. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. So I'm gonna give you a quick breakdown of a couple other things. I think we came back from COVID. They had so many great deals. It attracted a different type of clientele, maybe per se. Maybe turned off some people that would have normally come here. The weed thing, marijuana legalized. I get it. You know, people love it. People love getting high. But everywhere you go on the strip, you smell it, and that turns off a lot of people because a lot of people don't smoke. So, you know, for your weed smokers that want to spread it all over the world, great. But me personally, I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, and you know, skunks, they smell like weed. If people say they love the smell of it, I'm like, so you love to smell skunks, apparently. But yeah, I think that turned off a big giant segment of people, and that, you know, I think those numbers are there. And also, and of course, we're probably going to get into this with the things that Vegas needs to change, is just the fucking fees everywhere for everything. You know, from where it be parking to $15 waters to, you know, $60 drinks at the pools during the summer. It's just ridiculous.
Well, and I've said this before in previous pods, and you know how much edibles or flour or tinctures or however you inoculate yourself is that I do so often. Not really. That would be the pun, cheeky. But when it got legalized in recreation in Nevada, what are we, almost 10 years now into that?
Yeah.
I would have never thought, and I maintained this thought process, that it would be as wildly popular as it has become. And to that point of like, where any given day you walk down on the strip, it's noticeably fragrant.
It stinks. Like, it's everywhere too. Like, everywhere you go, it doesn't matter where you go, you're going to smell it. So if you don't like the smell of it.
Yeah. And then obviously your favorite person just wrote a bill to legalize it federally, right?
Change the class to class 3. So
okay,
that will help people that are jailed. I think, you know, I'm all for it. I don't like the smell of it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind. It's just how it's kind of, as I just said his name indirectly, it's kind of trumped the alcohol business, because as people don't land anymore and go to the closest liquor stores when they're in, you know, the Ubers or they're in the limos or whatever, it's like, take me to the dispensary. So these dispensaries that have positioned themselves closely to the airport benefit. And now you have these people that used to get a handle of Crown Royal are like, oh, I want to get some edibles or something.
Well, I think they've done a pretty good job of, you know, just kind of limiting the alcohol. Well, alcohol, same thing. They have like overexpanded the markets, you know, like, you know, it used to be that, you know, when we were bartending in our early days, you know, there'd be like 5 different whiskeys on the bar, you know.
Yeah.
Now there's, you know, whiskey bars that have 400 whiskeys.
Sure.
You know, so kind of, you know, you have, if you make it like a wine where you have to have a certain knowledge, then you're going to turn off like a large portion of the population, I believe. Well, if you're like, you know, like, if you don't know and you don't know the lingo per se, you know, it turns people off.
Sure.
I think.
And I think it goes to like what we've talked about before and what I talk about with some of my constituents about is like, that knowledge base isn't there anymore. I'm not saying that you or I or anybody that is in this trade of bartending needs to know every single detail about all 400 whiskeys, but just the training's not out there anymore because they're like, it's kind of a dribble down, in my opinion, to the bottom line. It's like, okay, you have this offering. I mean, you have a local brand here trying to push, Charles Woodson, who played at the University of Michigan and the Raiders, has his Woodson whiskey.
Yeah, and now every celebrity in the world has their own
now
brand
it's like, hey, there's not a lot of people out there calling for a Woodson and Coke. There's still Jim and Coke, Jack and Coke, Jameson Ginger.
Yeah.
And obviously that's years of branding and marketing, but
Well, yeah, proper 12. I mean, when Conor McGregor beat up that old guy in that bar, remember Brian pulled it off the bar.
Yeah.
He's like, nope, not no more. But anyway, I don't like the smell of weed. I think that's a big proponent, but yeah, I'm all for it though. Like if it makes you happy, I think we should make Vegas Sin City again and make everything legal. We should just make weed, cocaine, prostitution. I mean, I'd probably draw the line on like heroin, obviously.
Unless you want to wake up like that guest that was chained to the security wall at Aria last week with the $75,000 marker he doesn't remember signing. There might be a cutoff there.
That guy, wow, man! Like, talk about a case for the law. We all take the TAM class where we're not. Sure. We know we're not allowed to serve anybody when they're gambling, or overserve them when they're gambling. But that sounds like a definite case for a lawsuit there.
From like we have the Christmas Vacation Funko pop up, but from the original Vacation, I'm just going to do a Cousin Eddie line. He's like, I don't know why they call it Hamburger Helper, Clark, because it sure does fine by itself. Cheers. All right, let's talk about a positive subject for a second. Top Christmas movies. What's your go-tos every year?
Every year, I usually try to watch, obviously, Christmas Story. That was always a go-to. I think they've marketed that one to death over the last couple of years, though. It's a Wonderful Life. Mm-hmm. Try to stay positive because obviously things can get dark if you don't. And then I'm gonna go out on a tangent for myself. It's not a movie, but the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. For me, because I'm a nerd. Okay. I think that just captures the spirit in a fun, nerdy kind of way.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
I would say that I can see why. Yeah. But and then also I like Ted Lasso's Christmas special on TV is one of my favorites. That's not a movie. Yeah. But
Carol of the Bells, I believe.
Carol of the Bells, and then what other movies? Like obviously Christmas Vacation. Yeah. What about you?
You ticked off a few right there. I mean, Wonderful Life for sure. There's not probably a day that goes by in life that I don't quote one of the Vacation films indirectly or directly. So, yeah. Christmas Vacation. And then, more recent times, like that being the last 20 years, like Love Actually. And then you have like...
Wait. I hate that movie. I hate Love Actually. That movie can suck a dick.
Whoa. Yeah. How good was that nog?
I just hate that scene where he's outside with the fucking signs and he's like, let me back, even though he didn't do the right thing in the first place. You don't deserve it.
I don't know what you mean, Darren.
Yeah. And then like... I do love Andrew Lincoln and The Walking Dead way back in the day, but whatever.
I probably watched all three of those films every year at some point. And then I was thinking secondarily like Home Alone. And The Bells of St. Mary, so another classic.
Speaking of Home Alone, have you seen because the Epstein files just got released? Okay. So I just saw a clip of, because you know how they're all redacted, and somebody posted a clip of Home Alone 2, and it was redacted. So the scene in the Plaza Hotel where so-and-so walks up and he's like, where's the whatever? It's all redacted. It's all blacked out and you can't see anything.
That's funny. And then a little lesser known one, but is always kind of takes me back to that time of the year is remember The Family Stone, kind of an ensemble cast. Yeah. Craig T. Nelson, Sarah Jessica Parker, Luke Wilson, Dermot Mulroney. And just like kind of like
I'm trying to think of an offbeat one that people wouldn't normally think of. Like
well, I was already nodding off last night and it was just on the tile on the screen and I've seen it in the past, but I knew if I fell asleep. Christmas with the Cranks.
Christmas with the Cranks.
Like what, 20 years ago?
Yeah. Do I have a guilty Christmas movie pleasure? Like I watched that one with the one where Santa gets all violent last year, like Violent Night or something like that.
Oh, was
that
that
was
the one
fun.
with Mel Gibson?
No, it was with the guy from Stranger Things. What's his name?
David Harbour.
David Harbour, yeah. I thought that I took my mom to see that one last year, and it was just a fun, stupid movie.
Okay, I think I again watched it, but not. I mean, and then of course we always have the every conversation every year is if Die Hard is a Christmas film or not. But equally, I believe
Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. It is a action movie that happens to take place during Christmas.
But I believe that Trading Places is also a Christmas movie.
That's like saying Gremlins is a Christmas movie because Gremlins takes place on Christmas.
Just don't feed you after midnight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's probably more true than I'd like to admit. For me, anyway.
Especially when you don't have a pizza dough. That's Roberto's main burrito. So Christmas movies, and check. And then, unfortunately, sad events in Hollywood last weekend. And I think I posted just kind of putting it out in the ether like world stop whirling last weekend because you obviously had the Rob Reiner and his wife murder tragedy. You had Bondi Beach in Australia. You had Brown University. And then we've both had a couple personal friends pass recently, so it was just kind of like one of those weekends you're like, WTF world,
Mm-hmm.
So on that, Rob Reiner films, as we're talking about movies, what's a couple of your go-tos?
Man, I was up in Seattle when I got the news, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Just kind of, so I immediately turned on, the TV, and then I was like, oh, maybe I'll watch one of his movies. And I looked through the streaming platforms, and the ones I had available, the only movie was Stand By Me. So I put that on, and you know what's the first scene in that movie? He's the guy sitting in the car looking at the newspaper.
Yeah.
And you know what that newspaper says? It says something to the effect that lawyer is stabbed to death. That's the very first scene of that movie.
Really?
And I was like, holy crap. But Stand By Me by far is my favorite. It's just such a good
coming of age story. Was that 86?
86. He had the string of like 80 like 86 I think was Princess Bride, and I think 84 85 was Stand By Me, and then the Tom Cruise movie A Few Good Men, and then Misery. They were all within like an 8-year period or something like that.
We've talked about other directors in the past, and where Scorsese kind of jumps around too. But you and I, we just finished watching that documentary independently on Apple.
Mm-hmm.
But Scorsese always kind of has that undertone of violence. So not that they all have the same subject matter, but obviously he's got the Italian American.
He's got like the dark side of what it is to be a male. That's what I've heard. Like the greed, the anger, the spite, all those things that kind of make men ugly.
Yeah.
In a sense,
where if you said, you look at the filmography of Rob Reiner, like his films jump all over the place. From like 84 Spinal Tap, which is always up there. You said Stand By Me, The Princess Bride, Misery, Few Good Men. His Castle Rock Entertainment Company alone has probably had fingerprints in most of the great films of the last quarter century.
A lot of wonderful movies, yeah.
And so it's like, so I put on mine is, probably my go-to is A Few Good Men, because again, that's quotable in that scene with Nicholson and, Tom Cruise in the courtroom. And then now in more recent times, like, Rich Eisen fanboys, whenever he has Kevin Pollak on his show, and Kevin Pollak, recalls these like stories like from, filming behind, and it's always hilarious, but Kevin Pollak's a comedian, so why wouldn't it be funny? So even though it's a very serious scene, American President, just stuff like that, stuff that just kind of jumps all over the cultural landscape.
And he was a nepo baby, but he did a lot of good with his, whether you agree with him politically or not, he did put his money where his mouth is, so whatever he did believe in, he went for, and he tried to affect change.
Sure.
He was married to Penny Marshall as well, early on.
Yeah.
Which was, she made a number of great films herself.
Do you have kind of some Pepsi? Was that her thing in Laverne and Shirley, Pepsi and milk?
Yeah. Dirty soda.
Yeah.
I wonder if he was a producing partner in what was the movie with the baseball? Tom Hanks.
Oh,
Madonna. A League of Their Own.
A League of Their Own, yeah.
I wonder if he was a producing partner in that one.
Perhaps.
That's a great movie too.
Obviously, allegedly his son will be brought up in the charges, but I guess are they going after he's going to plead not guilty with schizophrenia?
You know what? Like, I'm so over like people not just owning up
Yeah.
to shit. Like denial. They get caught, deny, make work the system, make it work against you. Like it's so over these fucking people. If you fuck up, just man up and deal with it. Nothing is less manly than being a coward and not owning up to actually what you did.
Well,
But if he is schizophrenic, then it seems kind of odd that he wouldn't have been, because usually that comes along earlier in adulthood.
Yeah.
I imagine, and if they would have known, and I don't think, was it not a known thing?
Again, obviously Dr. Drew's making the circuit right now with all this going on, and he's saying like all these other, celebrities or children of celebrities, like, they just have to have the hardcore, I guess RFK Jr. had his issues with substance abuse.
Yeah.
And he went to like a work farm or whatever for a couple of years. And you think that you're doing your child a favor by, these $70,000 a month programs or whatever, where it just kind of, like you said, kind of harbors them from ultimately like just real life. And when the fact that, you might have to go away for a couple of years, but it might cure you from, for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So where now he's probably going to be in jail for the rest of his days.
If he, I don't want to rush to judgment. I'll let it play out. Because I think that's the problem too, is a lot of people just rush right to judgment.
Sure.
I just feel bad for the family, all his friends, and he did do some good. So, he did live a good life. 78 years old is not
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah. Just what a way to go. Horrible.
by your own child. Yeah.
Yeah. Even worse.
All right, moving on that cheerful thought.
Yeah, so it's a show about Vegas, day drinking, and all things Vegas, but here we are talking about films from the last millennia.
Well, you know what they say, alcohol is a depressant. So
Let's talk about December 13th or 14th last week, just celebrated 30 years of the Fremont Street Experience downtown.
Woo!
So which was the first step to, I guess, kind of clean up downtown from the...
Have they really, though? Have they?
I don't know. I guess it's which representative you asked.
I think they've just turned the crackheads into an attraction.
I could see that.
A little history on the Fremont Street Experience. I'm not an expert, but my old place of work business, the Star Trek Experience, where I worked, was one of the original. I believe there was 5 concepts that they tried to get off the ground for the Fremont Street Experience. One of them being Star Trek. They were going to build a whole Star Trek
USS
Enterprise hotel. I believe there was a Titanic one as well.
Yeah,
and they actually approved the Star Trek one, I believe, but at the last minute, the city was like, "No, we don't want this." So, because they were worried that eventually it would kind of go within disrepair and become an eyesore.
Well, kind of to that point, and you are correct, obviously, on that. But I think that they had no recourse, and they didn't even reach out to Paramount. They were just going to kind of do it, right?
No, it was all approved.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, they were moving forward with it. They thought it was a great idea. But yeah, I kind of agree. As much as I love Star Trek, can you imagine a giant Starship Enterprise hotel falling apart on the Fremont Street?
Yeah, you used to go down. You used to go downtown for porn. Now you go down for Dorn. Is that a well-referenced Star Trek joke?
Michael Dorn.
I feel ashamed.
Worf.
Worf. Damn it. So
yes.
Originally, when it opened 30 years ago, 1,367 feet long. It's equivalent to 5 football fields. Built for $75 million, and then they put some money back in it in 2019 for another $32 million. To your point about the Star Trek Experience, Steve Wynn also pitched the idea of a Las Vegas Venice Canal, where they would have had a waterway running down 1st and 3rd Street, but eventually did not happen. And then, several years later,
Can you imagine all the people taking a dip in that thing now?
Yeah, we saw the Venetian come to be, and then kind of to your point, the final frontier of the USS Enterprise, but eventually opened at Westgate.
At the Westgate, yep.
Yeah, back in the day, of which
it's funny because I was watching Pluribus, and I think that's the last episode we did. We talked about Pluribus, but in one of the most recent episodes, they are at the Westgate.
Oh, really?
And the scene that they filmed it right in front of the employee entrance to Star Trek, and I was like, as they're panning out and they show all these Lamborghinis that the guy was driving, there was the entrance to the experience. Little nostalgia for me. Which is also right next to where the famous James Bond scene is, where he goes up the elevator.
Okay, Live and Let Die.
Yep.
And then also a little more like statistical information. For many, it was the world's biggest single widescreen, only to be surpassed by Resorts World in 2020, and then ultimately the Sphere in 2023. So Vegas just keeps Vegasing, not doing it.
What do you mean the screen up top?
Yeah, the biggest screen, single screen.
So Resorts World is bigger, square footage wise.
I guess so.
Oh wow.
And then, yeah, and then
I know my old boss. He went on to manage the Fremont Street Experience.
Okay.
Jeff Victor. I believe I don't know what he's doing now, but I know he did move on to Circa, and I believe he was an executive at Circa
Gotcha.
for a while. But he's a great guy.
Vegas Sports, VGK, currently second in the Pacific Division.
I saw a TikTok the other day. It was the Raiders running out of the tunnel,
Okay.
and they were all dumpsters on fire.
It's kind of hard. But VGK in the middle of their season, second in the Pacific, currently behind Anaheim. Kind of like, it seems like week by week they have a great week, where like most recently I think they were like 6-1, and then they have like a shit week, but they can't seem to win a shootout. I mean, I haven't been watching as much intently this season. As I said, this fourth quarter has been kind of crazy for me. But yeah, still doing better than that, you know. And then Aces are currently not in season, but I just saw that Asia Wilson was named Times Athlete of the Year, one of the athletes of the year.
Very cool.
Of which she has, I believe, 3 MVPs in her corral now. First woman in NBA or WNBA history to do that. We can talk about the Raiders, but you've just alluded to all we really have to say about that.
What's their record? 2-11.
Yeah, so the off season can't come fast enough, and obviously difficult decisions have to be made.
I wonder how Tom Brady feels about all that.
Well, I mean, we kind of talked about this at the bar the other day, not you and I, but some other guests. You know, with Phillip Rivers coming out of retirement a couple weeks ago to help Indianapolis, and they almost, I mean, for the first half last night, they were challenging the 49ers. You know, he's 44, and, you know, Tom Brady's kind of probably biting his lower lip thinking, dadgummit, you know, like, I can get out there and do that, you know? But he's not going to forego his ownership deal because, I mean, you know, why cut your nose off to spite your face with, you know.
Yeah, he needs to be done.
But I'm sure that if he could go commission, pun intended, Commissioner Goodell and say, is there any way that we can do this, or we could have a league vote right away that he'd be in, you know.
Oh, you mean him come back and play?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, could you imagine?
Yeah. So, and then last week, the Emirates Cup final was here at T-Mobile with the NBA, where they addressed several subjects, of which expansion. I think it's more likely than not before 2030, and your hometown and our current hometowns.
I heard just the other day the opposite. I heard that they were looking to expand into Europe instead.
Yeah, a different league, a league that's sponsored by them. And then eventually what they're also talking about is how the Emirates Cup that they play here, like at this time of year, would go away from Vegas next year. And they would put it in, what do you call it? Like just legendary, like college play, like Cameron Indoor or Allen Fieldhouse, and play the games there to kind of like just make it full circle and more interesting to the fan base.
We didn't talk about F1 at all, did we?
Did that happen? No, it didn't. Oh, shoot. Yeah.
Watch it.
Yeah.
Not that you know, like it was a great event. It sold out. The main event sold out.
Yeah.
We had really bad weather the first 2 days. And of course, if you're working the events, it's fantastic. But like, I think overall, if you're in a hotel or if you're, you know, adjacent, it's not that great to you because nobody really does anything other than the race, right?
Right. Well, it seems to be the conversation that it kind of like going back. Was it really good or really bad for Vegas? I mean, if you're rich and you own a team or you own the event, it's fantastic. Yeah. If you're Liberty Media Group and you're staying at the Wynn, if you're staying at the Encore, if you're staying at Venetian, if you stay at Bellagio, maybe Cosmo, great weekend. Numbers great. But if you're like the other half of the Strip, you know, you're like, it might as well be. I mean,
as a resident, you know, like and somebody that's in the business, I think it's ultimately good for taxes for the town. You know, I'm sure it brings in a lot of tax revenue.
Okay.
Maybe I don't know what kind of deal they got when they built that. Yeah,
the Las Vegas Visitors Convention, LVA, CBA, whatever the hell it is. They're all very hush hush about the numbers. Where like if you remember this was year 3. The first year, they had out literally within 24 hours. It's generated $1.2 billion in revenue. Like, how do you even come to that number so quickly?
Everything's digital now, man.
Well, even still, like you think, you know,
and free reservations.
MGM. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, give me with the asterisk.
But again, you know, with these deals they make with these sports teams and these franchises, you know, what kind of, you know, like I'm sure, with like the Raiders, they got what, $750 million in taxpayer money.
Yeah.
And I'm sure F1 got some kind of sweet deal too. So who really knows? But it still does bring in tax revenue, and we don't have a state tax here, so that does benefit us.
Which you just said the Raiders and just triggered a thought, because I don't know why when you said it with the dumpster fire a moment ago, it didn't trigger this. But I just read too when writing some of this that Allegiant is the number one generating revenue facility in the world.
Yeah, and we as taxpayers that paid that money get no benefit from that whatsoever.
Yeah.
Other than, again, I don't want to sound like I'm a Debbie Downer, the people coming to bring their money, and the taxes allow us to be have no state tax. So that is a benefit. If you live in a state that does have state tax, then
sure.
So I don't want to sound like I'm like,
Especially if he keeps drinking this eggnog. So this was just kind of a fun little blurb I read in that Neon, like the kind of entertainment aspect of the LVRJ. Vegas trends that need to go away. Number one, which is I've been kind of talking about lately, because when I see it at the store, I've held off for the longest time. Dubai chocolate.
Oh yeah. You know what? I just read the article too. Yeah, Dubai chocolate. Yeah, that's a trend that's yeah. Whatever.
And I finally had one, or like my mom got pieces. Like you can get a bag of these individual serving ones.
Yeah.
So it's milk chocolate, but it's with pistachio
cream, and it's like pastry dough.
Yeah,
it's
tahini and something else like this. It's indigenous to the Middle East, and it kind of got big. It was nowhere to go, and then it got big on TikTok or whatever.
It's like phyllo dough. That's like crunchy.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, they are pretty big, but like literally, you go everywhere now, and you're like, when did this? Is this subtle implementation of?
I will say that a pistachio cream latte is phenomenal, but I've never done one without pistachio cream's amazing. Like if you ever made basil out of or pesto out of pistachio, it's pretty darn good. It's the pine nuts.
Another trend that needs to go away, and you and I see this because we're adjacent to this quite frequently. Espresso martinis, the very popular drink of the '90s.
Did you see the SNL skit this week?
I did not.
There's Ariana Grande was the host, and she was endorsing an espresso martini safe room. So when your girlfriend gets drunk on espresso martinis,
okay,
you put her in the safe room so she can go crazy.
Okay.
It was hilarious. It was pretty funny, dude. You need to watch it.
Gotcha. I will check that out. Overly priced food trucks is another trend that needs to go away because they're making.
Dude, I've been saying that for 20 years. Like,
yeah,
I love a good food truck, but
historically it's been a taco or a hot dog, and now you're getting charged the price that you'd be charged at a restaurant to sit at a picnic table with a,
I remember going to a convention in Anaheim and paying $16 for a hamburger and then eating it on a trash can, and like it didn't even come with a drink or fries.
Yeah,
you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I know. Fourth item on the list is what they were calling the water gambit, like where these restaurants, instead of coming at and like not just fine dining, but even just like local restaurants or fast casual,
like the
coming up and
sparkling or
it's still. Like, well, can I just have tap water? Do I have to have one? But obviously increases your check average.
So I know obviously this isn't going to be a popular opinion, but I am a firm believer in, because I've waited tables for a long time. I don't know. Did you wait tables?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, regularly?
Well, it's been a minute.
So you get the one guy at the table of 20 that's like, I'll take a water. You know what? Bring water for the whole table. And then you get done, and like one person has taken like a quarter sip of their water. So you did all that work for nothing, just to dump all this water. I am a firm believer that in Vegas, because we live in a desert, that if you should charge people for not a lot, just like 10 cents or a quarter, just so you could put that back into the recycling the water, because we have the Nevada water reclamation service, just to like keep people from wasting water. So you don't get a guy that sits down at the table and says, hey, you'll take water for everybody, and then nobody drinks it. Well, that being said, if you're at a fine dining restaurant, a quarter, that's nothing. If you have a party of 8, that's $2, big deal. But it would prevent people that aren't going to drink it from ordering it.
Well, and I see this,
and it's labor. It takes time to go get that water.
I see this in a microcosm, and this kind of goes back to your point about the the Now bar that has 400 whiskeys. It's the same thing. I watch this in my restaurant where they just go out. You guys need 4 waters? Yeah. Oh, while they're studying the menu, you don't take a moment to sell. Hey, we're known for this espresso martini, or this is our signature cocktail, or where you have a moment to actually like inform the guest or talk to them. It's just kind of like this placated. Here you go. So I'm serving you, right?
Yeah.
Instead of maybe answering a question because it's just like I want to churn and burn.
Yes, because as a server now, it's kind of morphed in. It's not your mom and pop diner anymore. Like, yeah, what do you want? It's you're considered a salesperson. You have to sell.
And I've always looked at it like this way. I mean, obviously, if I increase my checkout, but if I'm just again placating, it takes time. You're taking up space in the well, and it like water, like to your point, is not generating revenue.
Again, from that point of being a salesperson, increasing your check average, that increases your tip. We've all done the guest speaker that comes in and like, if you raise your check average, you make this much per month, this much per year.
Sure.
Same thing with water. It takes energy to make ice. It costs electricity, and it costs money to pour the water. It costs money for the glassware, and it's labor. So if you're not going to drink it, don't fucking order it. Don't offer it. And I believe charge, like very minimal, a quarter, a cup, just to prevent people from wasting it.
Sure. And last on the trends that need to go away are food influencers. So for your very nice meal, and we're going to talk about some new places that are opening and closing in a moment, but you are sitting down with your significant other or someone of interest, and you're trying to have a nice meal, and your meal is disrupted because the table next to you is plating or moving things around, or you have a ring light, or you have a shadow box.
Has that ever happened to you?
I've seen it.
You've seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
I have never seen anybody set up a ring light in a restaurant, because as a restaurant like person that's worked in the industry, if I was a manager, I'd be like, you need to put that away. I mean, you're disturbing the other guests.
When you and I were both still at McMullen's, I remember especially those late nights where this like strange little caveat niche of Asian people would come in because, like, again, Irish nachos are phenomenal, but that was a thing, and they would all be taking photos of them. Like it was like,
Yeah, I remember when Pokemon came out for the iPhone.
Yeah,
remember that? We just get mobbed people at happy hour, and they'd all get like 8 waters, and they'd get a large Irish nacho, and they'd all be playing Pokemon for him.
It's kind of funny because the journalist that wrote the piece, and I forgot what his or her name says, on the influencer discipline, he goes, besides, he says, besides most influencers don't know the difference between Branzino, Barolo, or Baba Ganoush. So it's just they're in there because they have their following and trying to create the culture.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yes. Okay.
I have, we've all seen on TikTok, the both sides, where you see the influencer. Now you see like these influencers that are super successful. You have people posting anti-influencer messages against them, like, oh, they're on the take or this or that.
Yeah.
It's kind of odd, like that they've been elevated this high that there's people that have to try to ride on their coattails, just talking shit about them. I
if you go right, I go left. If I go left, you go right.
Like, you take initiative, you try to build something for yourself, you go out there and do the work. And then yet, like, I'm not going to say I agree with these influencers, but they're doing something. They're working. They're trying to build a brand for themselves. And yet you have these people sitting in their freaking cars. Inevitably there's some douchebag in a car doing a rant as he's driving down the freeway. And that's all he does,
Sure. Yeah. I mean, obviously adjacent to what we're doing, we can't besmirch them totally, but I get the point, right?
Hey, when you reach a certain age, you can have a get off your lawn moment, right?
That's right. So, as I told my wife, I voted, so I get the bitch. So.
Now the difference is I'm not talking shit about any particular person here.
No. Yeah, I mean, we're not isolating anybody in particular, but we all see it out there.
Because I just saw the hypocrisy of what I just said.
Yeah.
Thanks to you. Thank you.
Restaurants closing, opening in the last few weeks or month or so. One of our favorites obviously announced that its last day officially was going to be December 13th, Huddle Brewing.
Yeah.
Citing multiple instances, cost of rent, parking fees going up downtown, rideshare pricing going up, cost of goods, not having a viable food option, even though that you could order Soul Belly next door, not having a proper kitchen was hurting their establishment. But good news.
That writing on the wall was a long time.
But good news is they're going to sublet out of Neon Desert, and they're going to continue to brew their brand in Neon Desert as they reimagine what that space in the Arts District will be. As they're talking.
Are they going to continue renting it, or?
There's talk of You know, insider news. There's talk of becoming just a tasting room with a kitchen.
It'll be the Dubai chocolate, tasting
Oh
lounge.
God, yeah. Local brewer Juxta Nomad
Dubai
utilizes.
chocolate pizza.
Yeah, Jesus. Oh. So there's talk. Yeah, there's talk of that. I don't think there's been any pen to paper yet, but at least they've worked out where some of their more popular flavors they're going to continue to brew, so the brand isn't ultimately going away.
But hey, we got a Viking place down there now. I mean, come on,
dude. There's so much going on down there. I mean,
we talked about it. I don't remember what episode it was, but as soon as the artists move in, they make it cool, they make it trendy, and then the capitalists move in and ruin it. And so that's what you're seeing right now. You're just kind of seeing the capitalists move in and kind of ruin it. Unfortunately,
a place that, as we are Vegas day drinkers, we journeyed to about a month ago, but that's how long it's been. We went over to Henderson, like Eastgate, to the Grey Witch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I thought their little speakeasy kind of thing on the side was kind of cool.
Yeah, so sister concept from the people that bring you Red Dwarf now have an operation over. It's kind of like just in the strip mall, and it's not where I imagined it was going to be. Not that it was bad. It was just like when we pulled up, I'm like, oh, that's where it is.
Yeah.
But did a good job, kind of more in your vibe of like, what'd you say, Harry Potter?
Kind of like Harry Potter / Scotland castle-ish, kind of like.
Yeah.
I don't. Have you ever been to the what's the one on Fremont?
The Griffin.
The Griffin.
Yeah.
Kind of like kind of Griffin / Harry Potter /
Yeah. Did they have an open pit fire?
Devil worshiper. No, I don't think they did.
Well, settle down, Zach Brown, man.
Well, I mean, kind of. There was like witchcraft stuff all over the place. I
Yeah.
guess, not devil worship, witchcraft.
Yeah. So yeah, it was just, again, I mean, if you're in the area, it's definitely cool to check out their cocktail program. It's like Russell always does a good job.
There is is it 1,200 seat event space next door?
Yeah.
Pretty big space for bands, and I haven't gone to see any of the bands, but I know my child has. So.
Yeah. One of the things I'm more happy about, because it appeals to my frugal eye, Stage Door and Batistas is back. After what was supposed to be 3 months, ended up being more like 6 or 8, to replace the roof and flooring and I think ventilation. So back to the $1 Bud and Bud Lights and $5 Jaegers and Patrons.
Isn't it $2 now for the beers?
I think they're still $1. I think the hot dogs went up to $2. They were $1. Bastards.
What kind of world we living in?
I know. And then Batista's next door, which obviously hole in the wall, and I personally think the food is gross, but it's got a lot of history.
Batista's is like Denny's for Italian food.
Yeah. You go out there and you do that price.
It's palatable.
You do that price fix, and you know what you're getting for what you pay.
You know what? Honestly, Chris, for $40, you can drink wine and salad and entree and dessert and bread. It's really not that bad a value.
I get it.
And
then, did you ever work with him when you were at McMullen's, Corey Harwell?
Corey, no, I don't know.
I think he was the first GM. Or first chef. Anyway, but he's gone on, and his partner was Carrie Simon, and then they did Carson's Kitchen. And then in the bin, they just opened last week. So they're doing the reimagined steakhouse, Butcher and Thief.
Butcher and Thief, yeah.
Of which he's out there kind of manifesting that, in the last 20 years, the American steakhouse has kind of, gone out of sorts for most folks, that they've kind of outpriced a lot of people, and where, your average dinner cost now, if you go to a nice steakhouse on the strip, is going to be anywhere 300 up. Where you go in there and one of their pieces of protein is anywhere from 36 to 56.
Well, I looked at the menu for Butcher and Thief, and it's still, like if you shared everything, you can get out of there for about $200.
Okay.
But it's still expensive. I mean,
you're not, you and I aren't going in there and getting out of there for $50. No way.
Absolutely not. No.
But I mean, again, he's a very good marketer too, and
he is an outstanding guy. He takes care of his people.
Yeah.
Who was the chef? Michael Simon, right? Or no, not Michael Simon. Carrie Simon.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
So when he had Carrie's Kitchen, was it Carrie's Kitchen at the Hard Rock back in the day?
Yep.
Or Simon's Kitchen. But yeah, I mean, at least he's trying to pivot. Like he's seen the trend in the restaurant industry where everyone else is like, well, food classes, that's what he's supposed to do, And it's like, at least he's trying to address, I don't know what level he's going to his vendors or whatever, because I'm sure they're buying the same protein from the same 3 or 4 places in town.
Yeah.
It's not like he has a farm out in Pahrump where he's sourcing his own meat or whatever. and trying to make it happen.
Yeah.
You know, and so good for him. I appreciate that, and I think there needs to be more like thought processes like that in this industry, in this town.
100%. Yeah.
To continue to figure things out as we go forward in time. That is most of the things I want to talk about with the restaurants opening and closing. Did you see? Are you going to take your fine vehicle that's an EV and drive out to State Line and get yourself a $1.7 billion opportunity?
No, my parents buy tickets up in Seattle, so.
Oh, okay. All right.
I mean,
so Darren likes to source his purchasing.
yeah.
And then
I do. When I do drive out to California, typically I go out once a month. I do stop at Baker usually and grab a couple tickets.
And then a place that you and I are both very familiar with, like to get a little more heady again as we start to wrap this one up, Airport Talk.
Fun.
So did you see that the Boring Company has announced that they're going to have an airport exit entrance as of first quarter 2026?
Where's that going to be? Do you know?
I think it's going to be across the street there from the airport proper, like over that University Place, to where they're going to come up out of the tunnels, and then you're going to cross over and be on the airport property. So,
kind of by where we park now, kind of.
Yes, exactly.
Right there.
So kind of like adjacent to economy, what was once, I guess it's still economy parking, but also employee parking.
That's cool. I've been taking note recently. I count the amount of EVs and I just do it when I leave work. So just to see how fast they're going to kill the taxi industry, because and Uber and Lyft, because I've been watching the I'm all right. Yeah.
Well, there you go, folks.
You don't want more talk soup than you're already going to get. So I've been watching the Zooks and
Great Kinnear? No.
yeah, and the Waymos and the whatever else is that we got.
The Vi, have you seen that one? VAY,
Yeah.
Vay or whatever.
So I've been watching those, and every day when I walk, and I only do it when I walk back at night, I notice more and more. So like on average on my walk, and it's only like a 10-minute walk, I notice at least 3 or 4 on the way out. So I'm gonna keep an average and see how many more come. I think it's gonna be pretty quick though, the transition.
Yeah, well, I mean, I popped on X this morning because whoever runs their social media is posting a lot more frequently, and I believe they have a more, like, they just started operating in town. I forget what it's called, a newer model of drill that's supposed to be 4 times as good as the previous generation. So it's just supposed to increase the production of what they can accomplish in a short amount of time.
I mean, they learned a lot from Bertha in Chicago and then in Seattle.
Yeah, and they're saying that a Tesla tunnel trip from the convention center to the airport will be $10, and from downtown to the airport approximately $12. And then
For now, until they kill all the competition, and then the price will amazingly go up to $15.
Jesus, Starlink.
Capitalism.
So, yeah, I get it. So that's going on, but that's exciting because, I mean, obviously as we go forward in time, Vegas is pretty good, as we talked about previously. The large LED board that was Fremont Street Experience to becoming Resorts World, which is now Sphere. I mean, the city does innovate fairly quickly, and even though I've been here for 22 years, you 26-ish, it doesn't seem like a lot of time, but then you're like, wow, look what's everything that's happened.
Yeah.
And as you talk about that, going back for like the last 20 years, something that, people under really 25 don't even know about is, you used to be able to go with your family to departure gates and see them off, where TSA is rolling back that security measure. Now it's not going to be just as easy as you showing up and, walking your daughter to the gate. You have to go through online, like you have to go reserve online, go through, fill out a sheet, acclimate. It could take up to a week. But if like you wanted to go sit with your family, for whatever reason, you're not going somewhere and everybody else is, you will again be able to go to the gate, and see them off.
It makes sense. You got a couple hours to kill. You want to have lunch or something like that. It'll help the businesses.
Well, yeah. And I think that's exactly why they're doing it, because it's an increased opportunity for revenue, that it's not just you sitting there by yourself that
And they've increased the screenings, by not having it. Like a big step was taking away the shoes, because it's a choke point. I have to take off my shoes, and you're standing there. waiting for the next person to go.
Right.
You just get rid of those choke points, and then everybody can just go through TSA.
Which again, we're in, where we obviously talk about AI quite a bit. Like the TSA hasn't evolved that much in 20 years. I'm sure they have technologies they don't tell us about.
They have at Disneyland, they have walk-through scanners. You don't even have to, you basically, obviously they have to search your bags, but like you just walk through.
Yeah.
Anything bulky you have to take out of your pockets.
Gotcha.
But it's pretty quick.
That's so I looked on the list. Vegas isn't currently on that list. It's preeminent. They haven't made the official announcement yet. Vegas isn't on the short list, but both your hometown and my town are. So Seattle is on that list already.
For NBA?
No, for TSA.
Oh, TSA.
TSA. And then as we talked about, that other airport stuff just down the hall from me that was supposed to be open in first quarter is now opened as of like 2 weeks ago. The Chase Lounge, the Sapphire Lounge in Seagates.
Yep.
Which I believe is still less than 10 in the country. The Chase Lounge here, exclusive to the Las Vegas Chase Lounge, has a champagne parlor.
Fun.
So where you can have sparkling wine, a mimosa, or one of the seasonal spritz collection. Or you can go, it's 2 levels, or you can go downstairs to where they have the main area. And I didn't know this until I was doing research. The menu has been curated by David Chang and his team at Momofuku.
Wow.
Yeah. So
you could have just hired a bartender to do that, or
Right.
you pay David Chang $1 million.
Well, I mean, when you're justifying the cost, because I think to have all access all the time, it's an additional $800 on your membership a year, and you can go to any Chase Lounge in the country however many times you want. And if you don't have a certain tier, from my understanding, you get access one time a year for free, and any subsequent visit is $70. Which still, more often than not, because I work right down the hallway, they've been on a queue quite a bit because I mean it's new, people are checking it out, and it's quote from
all the lounges in the airport. Like on Sundays, our busiest day there's always lines at all of them. Like if you don't have time, people come up to me and where the lounge is, and I'm like, do you have more than 2 hours? Because you're gonna wait an hour in line.
Sure.
So
I just did the math. It wasn't complicated math, but now we have, between all the lounges and A, B, C, D, E, we now have 9 lounges in the airport.
Wow.
So between Chase, Amex, the club, Capital One, and the USO, which a couple of them have.
USO doesn't have any alcohol.
No, but it's a lounge for
For
active military.
But it is post security, so like you have to
Yeah.
pre-security it.
Sure. But I mean, it's an option if you're active duty. So that
100%.
that's what's happening. And then something I'm a little more closer to, not exactly that I'm excited about, but there's still ongoing talk with the culinary workers striking.
Dun, dun, dun.
I've never gone through a civil disobedience before, but I've done that since we've last recorded.
That's fun.
It was very interesting for sure.
A lot of what are those things called? Vuvuzelas or whatever. Those noisemakers?
Yeah, there was that. I
remember those from the World Cup couple, when it was in South Africa.
Yeah,
I believe. Yeah.
Nice recall of a name I don't even think I knew.
Vuvuzela.
Yeah, say that 3 times fast. More people showed up than I thought, but obviously they had other agencies there too.
Yeah.
And not to get into the semantics of it, but it's just it was interesting to watch the process. And as I've said to you before, I understand both sides of the argument. I understand if you're the owner, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, but I also understand.
Nothing like a multi-million-dollar corporation saying they can't give you a raise because they haven't made as much profit as they made last year.
Right.
And I know we're gonna get some grief for this, but in Europe, in France, and if you as a company has made a profit, you can't lay off to pad your bottom line.
Yeah.
You have to keep your staff employed because you are making a profit, which I find, obviously innovation kind of stumbles for that. But when you have an industry like my company made $650 million in profit last year. So when we went to negotiate.
Then why is this set shit?
No, not my company.
Okay.
Not my company. The company I work for. They just agreed to it. And it was before, this downturn in Vegas is where your company, you have, the number one Jersey Mike's in the world.
Yeah.
The most profitable. And yet they can't afford to give you a raise because because times are difficult.
Well, it's again, there's different bullet points about it, and this is as far as I mean, this is the whole reason you stand where you stand 4 days a week for 10 hours at a time, racking your head. Is they also want to change healthcare, and I understand that healthcare costs are going up, but that's the biggest reason I left quote unquote the private side to go into the union.
There is next year there is a prop. I don't remember what the number is, but they want to pass it and make it so employers that provide insurance don't have to put that bill anymore. So they'll be able to push that onto the employee rather than the employer.
Oh.
And I'd have to look at the specifics of it because I don't really know all about it. I just had read something about that, like Prop 8615 or something like that.
Sure.
So that's something to look forward to. Speaking of something to look forward to,
let's talk about 2026.
Yay!
Let's wrap this one up on a good note. Not that everything was a bad note, but let's,
Can I just say, okay, so something to look forward to. So I just watched a story on TikTok. There's a guy that's named Chris. He's just not just a bartender on TikTok. He's worked a lot of great places around Vegas, but his mom had a stroke, and she's she can't talk, but he's like in New Jersey or something like that, helping his mom out.
Okay.
And she can't she's like not in a wheelchair, a walker, can't talk really, can't get the words out, because stroke victims. He was telling a story the other day, and I'm going to butcher this, but he was telling a story the other day. He took his mom to this place, a bagel place she wanted to go, figured it out, went to the bagel place. She can't tell him what she wants because she can't understand, her brain's not working properly. The owner of the place went and he took time out. He grabbed all the bagels, showed them to her individually, and she selected which one she wanted, the meat and everything, got her what she wanted. Super nice, took all the time with her, and then at the end of the meal told him it was free, So that's what I look forward to in 2026 is random acts of kindness.
Yeah, empathy is real.
Empathy is real, and I think people need to learn that, especially if you're in a place of privilege where you can do some stuff like that. So,
well, you're more of a comic guy than I am, but what is the classic Spider-Man? With great power comes great responsibility.
Exactly, yeah. And I think even more now in this world we're living now, like where there is a certain lack of empathy when it comes to certain people, and I'm not going to go on a rant, but if you can help, why don't you try?
Yeah, see, Darren, who more associates in the podcast with being Debbie Downer, sometimes bring this moment of light, and I just want to I want to do more dick jokes in 2026. I'm kidding.
Hey, if that's what you're looking forward to.
Yeah, so,
who am I to say no?
Right.
I talked to somebody the other day about the first art ever created was some caveman in a cave got like a rock and drew a penis on a wall somewhere.
That's a great story, and there needs to be more stories like that out there. But as we know from watching, when we used to watch the news, the nightly news or whatever, the feel-good stories don't do as well as the calamity or the terror or the stuff like of the former police chief or whatever that the two got charged recently in North Las Vegas or whatever for mowing him over on his bicycle like a couple years ago.
Oh God.
Yeah. Anyway, good stuff. 2026,
Chris bringing the light.
Yeah, there we go. So take that, Chris, and your mom with your bagel. No, really, that was a great story. Looking forward to America having the World Cup. So hopefully that brings some positivity and has an opportunity to bring.
Speaking of Kansas City, where they will be playing a game, real quick, thoughts on your team moving to Kansas?
I did have that on the list, so it's a good segue. Obviously, I grew up in the Kansas side, so I associate with I have a lot of great memories from Arrowhead.
That's like the loudest stadium in the United States.
Yeah,
behind my team.
You're foregoing a lot of things for this to get to that. It's a stadium that's 54 years old now.
Yeah, it's
55
old.
years old, and it's already had a lot of structural changes. And then I talked to actually a facilities operator that had just retired from there recently, and said, that the west side of the stadium needs another $200 million in repair. So it's kind of like they're putting Band-Aids on it at this point.
Yeah, like the Missouri side's all screwed up.
Yeah, as you know. No. But in the modern NFL, it's, what you have to do because they're going to be out there in an entertainment district.
Will they be closer to Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes' steakhouse?
So here's a meme I saw yesterday. The Arrowhead Stadium is moving from 435 and I-70 to 435 and I-70 because on the east side of the city where they connect, I-70 obviously goes east-west, the 435 is the one that circles the city. So they're literally going over to the other side.
Are you going to try to get to a game before they make the move?
Oh yeah, I mean it's still they won't be in there till 2031.
Okay.
So they, I mean, I'm sure the land's been acquired. So that was on the list. The World Cup being in the States next year in many cities, kind of circumventing that and talking about empathy. New season of Ted Lasso, and sometime I would say in
That's
spring
something to
of
look forward to.
2026, and then Mobland. So you take the good of Ted Lasso and then you take the kitschy like London Pride. And I look forward to working more with you because you didn't force me to do this, but you've been on my ass about it for a while, and I've had a great time doing it.
Oh my God, I sound like Chris's mother every week. I'm like, Chris.
Yeah.
Chris.
Or as we like to say back in the 90s, Stacy's mom has got it going on.
So here's...
But yeah, I've enjoyed it, and I want to continue. And as you guys watch this, record this, listen to it, we're going to try and take more steps. I'm going to get out of my fourth quarter funk.
Maybe 26 we'll bring the first Vegas Day Drinker meetup.
Yeah.
Here's something to look forward to.
It's things that we talk about. It's just, again, this fourth quarter's happened pretty fast. We like to say sip, socialize, shine, but I'm going to add as we leave this Christmas episode, we're putting the hoe back in hospitality. Ho, ho, ho.
On one more note, I'd like to say Bill William O'Gorman.
Yep.
Cheers to you, lad.
Yeah. Cilantro.
Call it good?
Yeah, that was a good one.
The snow is falling, a blanket soft and white, warm blue from the fireplace, burning ever so bright. Friends and family gathering, laughter fills the air, sharing stories, making memories without a single care.